I'm inviting myself.
Go.
On August 13, 1961, the Communists divided Berlin into 4 zones. The United States, United Kingdom, France, the Soviet Union, and the wall stood merely 12 feet tall, but expanded for miles like the Great Wall of China. It stretched to the horizon and stuck fear that all laid in the eyes on it. People heard the cries of sorrow as friends and families were torn apart. "Stop treating us like caged animals," shrieks the people. It was if prayers had been answers. It was very bizarre how one day it could be so different from the last, like the changing of seasons. Then on a stormy night, Absil rested at home. The lightning struck the trees, while thunder rumbled through the town. In the morning he awakes, looks out the window to see everything has been destroyed. Trees, houses were being swallowed by fire. The weather warned the people of what was to come. Absil turned the news to see what happened, and the main storyline was the Berlin Wall was halfway broken down. The news then announced, and they need to help tear down the remaining of the Berlin Wall in order to keep the people safe. The young man then fled their homes at once with their glowing faces. "No Martial wall stands in our way," chanted Absil to the crowd that follows. As they rallied the crowd, the people made way for the men to go through. The men roared of destruction and passion in their eyes. Finally, within a few inches of the wall, they began to pound it like the heart does against your chest. Absil climbed onto his neighbor's shoulders and attempted to leap on the wall. He stumbled and he fell into his hands and his knees. Absil Berger was one of the young men from East Germany who helped destroy the wall. He felt the wall had separated from him and the West Germans, so he decided to tear it down. While he helped hammer the concrete wall into pieces, a German citizen approached him. "Why is it so necessary to destroy the wall when we can walk right through it?" He struggled to hear the man's voice over the hammers, striking a sturdy wall. "The wall has separated parts of Germany and Britain for many years, and we don't want to ever be reminded of it," Absil responded in his voice. His face started to fade until it was white as snow on a winter's day. After the crowd chipped away at the outer layer, Absil recognized that it would be long until the fragile wall would eventually collapse. Nonetheless, the citizens continued to strike the wall. The young man stopped and listened to the metal hammers crunching the outer layer of the broken wall. Crunch, crunch, crunch. When all of a sudden he started to glare at the extinguishing wall with horrified eyes. The beaten wall craved in on the men. Bloody, bloody screams and cries rang for all to hear from the east to the west, like the ringing of the sirens. And the men crawled from underneath the rubble for safety. He exhaled heavily. "At last she is down! At last she is down!" he cried out. The pieces of the wall fell to the floor. Some the size of coins, some as big as the slabs. They began to pick up pieces. Absil managed to stash a diamond-shaped piece of the wall in his back pocket. The crowd did not move, as they could not help but feel the burden lifted. Many traveled to the space where the wall once stood firm. Absil treaded slowly. Once the powerful wall stood, he halted before the invisible line. It divided the unions and contemplated a decision. "If I take one more step, my life will not be the same," Absil murmured to himself. "Es bleibt kein Rolle," he protested. "A life of cries out to me as I must answer it." His shoulders shuddered forward like a fawn in front of the hunter as he attempted to make the fate. The low mourn escaped his mouth as he slowly lifted his shaking leg over, and he stepped on the once forbidden land as he bid farewell. "Guten Morgen! The new world!" exclaimed Berger. "The new world!"